The Canon EOS R6 Mark III is back in the news. We'll be addressing the timing, the schedule, stacked versus non-stacked sensor, resolution ergonomics, and its place in the market next to the Canon EOS R5 Mark II. Punch that subscribe button while I cue things up. It helps more than finding a fresh, fully charged battery at the bottom of your camera bag. Hi, I'm Simon, your friendly photographic correspondent that trolls the news and rumor sites so that you don't have to, freeing up time so you can do what you do best. Yesterday we talked about the Canon R7 Mark II, but today it's all about the Canon EOS R6 Mark III. First up, the ever-evolving announcement date. If this doesn't frustrate you, I don't know what will. Canon Rumors says a soft announcement between now and February the 15th, likely slotted just ahead of IBC's cinema-heavy news cycle. That's a window to watch, not a shipping date. Likely, folks, that's what we're hearing here, likely around IBC. Now, with 2 weeks to go, at this point, we should expect to know everything about the camera, as we did about the Canon EOS R5 Mark II 2 weeks before its announcement. We knew the date, we knew the price, we knew everything about the camera. Something's definitely coming, but at this point, no one seems to know exactly what it is, when it's going to be announced, the price, or the specifications. Now, as IBC is a cinema event, I would expect some sort of, or any announcement ahead of that event to be, well, cinema-related. Lenses, perhaps, or a new body. Last year, what did we get? Well, cinema-related lenses. No new body, and nothing to do with mirrorless cameras, or at least stills hybrid mirrorless cameras. But that's not to say that Canon Rumors isn't onto something here. Yan discusses the R6 in his latest video and comments on it being a non-stacked sensor. As I've discussed in the past regarding Canon's faster sensors in the R1 and the R5 Mark II, there's a price to pay for speed, which typically involves a slight reduction in dynamic range and an increase in noise. Aside from the noise and the dynamic range attributed to a stacked sensor, it also offers a much faster readout speed. The R5, well, it has a 16.3 millisecond readout speed, and that's a non-stacked sensor. The R5 Mark II, well, it offers 6.3 milliseconds. And yes, the difference is noticeable, especially for anybody shooting any sort of fast-moving objects, doing sports work, or well, anything where you have a fast-moving subject or object. Jan also mentions a resolution increase, which we had also been told was around 30 to 32 megapixels. And we've also heard the same thing there. So less to disagree about than agree, right? But we have heard contradictions when it comes to, well, the type of sensor to be used, an all-new sensor, which is most logical here, or if it's going to reuse, well, an R1 sensor, which would put it right back to 24 megapixels. At this point, I'm not willing to make a bet one way or the other. Think of the R6 Mark III as being marketed as a mini R5 Mark II, although Canon would never do that. If you find the R5 Mark II offers too many tools and files that are too big, more things, more capabilities, more buttons, more everything that you just don't see yourself paying for, you don't need 8K video and all that stuff, well, then go with the R6 Mark III. But on the flip side, if you find that the R6 Mark III is too slow and has too much of a rolling shutter, well, then go with the R5 Mark II. The R6 Mark III will be more than $24.99, the original release price of the R6 Mark I and the R6 Mark II. Prices have gone up across the board. There's no denying that. There's no getting away from that. In fact, there's no going back to that. But Canon has plans to offer some new tech that make the price seem, well, less painful and getting you to want to, well, buy it. The R6 II felt good in the hand, so don't expect too many changes to the footprint of the R6 III, though I wouldn't be surprised if Canon plays around with some of the placement of the buttons or dials or textures and that sort of thing. The lack of anything credible on the R6 Mark III has everyone talking about what everyone else is saying on the R6 Mark III. When it comes down to it, there's really very little disagreement between what Yan is saying and what Canon Rumors is saying. Other than, well, one is saying something a little bit different than the other. It doesn't mean that either one is wrong at this point. It's kind of like looking at Schrodinger's cat in that box. Everything's possible until we have an announcement. We don't have anything specific. At this point, all we seem to have is, well, just a difference of opinions. I do believe that Canon will make some sort of announcement starting in mid-September, going all the way up to the first week of November. But the R6 III is a big update, and I can't see that happening without some sort of fanfare, as we saw with the R5 Mark II, providing us with not only this teaser video, but also teaser posters as well. At this point, I'm not convinced that we're going to see an R6 Mark III or an R7 Mark II September announcement. Too much is vague for that right now. However, that could change as we enter next week, the second week of September. If history has anything to go on, well, look at the R6. It was announced back on, what was it, July the 20th, 2020, or July... It started shipping July the 30th, 2020, along with the R5 Mark II. And of course, the R6 II was announced back in November of 2022, the first week. I think it was November the 1st or November the 2nd. It's possible that Canon could announce the R6 Mark III around September the 15th. But ask yourself this question. Canon is going to be gearing up and getting ready for a cinema event, IBC. That's going to take place around September the 15th. Does it really make sense for Canon to announce a big new stills hybrid refresh right on this doorstep of a cinema event? Now maybe Canon rumors know something, they're just slyly hinting at something, but to me it doesn't. It makes more sense that the R6 Mark III would be announced, well, in October or later in September, or where they announced it in 2022. Here we are in 2025, and yeah, I just, again, look at IBC last year. What did we get? And we had rumors of announcements last year too, right? And what did we get? A bunch of cinema lenses, no cinema bodies, and definitely no stills hybrid camera announcements, lenses or otherwise. October has been a big month for announcements of lenses and camera bodies. Usually late October for bodies and mid to late October for lenses, which has me wondering, what lenses could we have being announced? Canon Rumors hasn't said anything about that, but I'm willing to believe that October is going to be a big announcement, big announcement month for lenses, as 4 to 6 new lenses are supposed to be announced coming from Canon for both RFS and the RF mount. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section down below. I don't know. Everything that's on my mind right now is the first day back to school. Everything's a little crazy. I'm just, yeah, it's absolutely nuts. So I don't expect anything to come this week. It doesn't really make any sense. Everyone is in that back to school. It's worldwide. We're probably not going to see too much. And that's why you're seeing videos like this one come out, the video from yesterday, news stories from Canon Rumors are getting us prepped for the announcement season. The announcement season never happens in the first week. It usually starts in the second week and continues to the end of October or the first week of November. Very few companies will announce something in late November or December, because as we get up to late November, what do we have? Well, we have Black Friday, we have US Thanksgiving, which seems to take on a season of its own. And then we move into December and everyone's worrying about vacation, Christmas, and all that stuff. So we've got between the second week of September till the end of October. That's it. And then it's Q1 of 2026. I just said it. Q1 of 2026 is just around the corner. Anyhow, thank you so much for tuning in. Have yourself a great day. Don't forget to punch that subscribe button. And if you're looking at purchasing anything such as the Canon EOS R6 Mark II, it's currently on sale at $19.99. And while we've seen lower prices in the past, with the recent run-up in prices, here in 2025, mid-2025, $19.99 for the R6 Mark II, well, that's pretty much an inventory clearing price. Anyhow, thanks so much for tuning in. Have yourself a great day, a great week, and we'll see you again soon.